Today I'm going to talk about Ostara, where we celebrate the spring equinox with nature. In the pagan practice of the Wheel of the Year, we have a celebration for the spring equinox called Ostara. There are two equinoxes in the year. They are approximately 6 months apart from each other. The spring equinox, that falls at approximately March 21st. If the name sounds familiar, Ostara, Easter, very similar, and lots of the symbolism of Ostara actually can be found in the modern Eastern celebration. Ostara is actually the name of a goddess, and the things that were sacred to this particular goddess, the goddess of spring, were the hair as well as the egg. So if you could never figure out why an Easter bunny was delivering eggs because rabbits don't lay eggs, now it starts to make a little bit more sense. The hare or the rabbit, that represents fertility because, as you know, rabbits multiply. The egg represents potential, but it does also represent protection because of the shell. One of the most common things you can do with an egg is actually a cleansing, where you can take the egg, sweep it across your body, allowing it to take out all of the energy that you no longer need, all of the energy that you learned how to release during the dark half of the year, during the time when you faced your shadow, and all of these things that you're ready to release in order to allow new things to come in because you're seeing beyond any limitation. So typically you sweep yourself down with the egg, and then you would take a glass of water and you would crack the egg into the water. And then afterwards you can look at it a day later, and the way that lines, the formations that it creates, the yolk in the water, can give you some ideas and some guidance as to what's coming into your life. The word equinox actually means equal, so you have an equal amount of daytime and nighttime. Because of that balance, you want to do an equal amount of releasing as manifesting. You have to release and make room for new growth to come in. The one thing that I think I love the most about pagan practice in general is that it is all centered around the food. First off, when you look at the Wheel of the Year and you start breaking it down into the cross quarters, when you have Samhain, you have Beltane, and then you have Imbolc, and then you would have Lammas or Lunasa. Then you start cutting it down crossways and you start doing the equinoxes, such as Ostara, to Mabon, the fall equinox. Then you would do the solstices, where you've got the summer solstice Litha. 6 months apart from that would be Yule. So when you slice it, it looks like a pizza pie or any other type of pie. That's the first connection with the food. But there's also a centering around what is growing at that time, what is naturally coming out of the earth. And we want to look at that because we want to eat what's in season, because we're taking in the energy of the earth and creating from it. Foods that you're going to be focusing on during Ostara would be the egg, naturally, and also a lot of types of breads that do have a preponderance of eggs in them. And there's also the hot cross bun. Now, the hot cross bun is very much a part of Christianity, but it does resonate very much with pagan as well because of the cross. You've got an even balance of the 4 directions that are indicated on a hot cross bun. So you're looking at north, south, east, west, whenever you're looking at a hot cross bun. So it's a beautiful way of bringing so many different practices together because it's all about the food. Ostara represents growth. It represents resurrection. It represents new life. This would be typically the time where you would bless seeds that are getting ready to be planted so they can bloom around Beltane. All of these seeds being planted that are ready to multiply. Because 6 months from now, when you have the fall equinox, you will be harvesting all of these seeds that you planted during Ostara. When we work with the wheel of the year, moving in a cyclical way through the seasons, there is a split down the center of that wheel, and we have the dark half of the year. The dark half of the year is when everything's centered inside, it's cold, there's less daylight, so it's a very introspective time. This is a time when we face our shadow. And this is very important to remember because when we get into the equinox, we're pulling that shadow in and letting it face directly with the light half of the year. That's the last point where we are using the shadow to give us guidance before we step into the light half of the year, where everything is outside, the days become longer and longer, and everything starts to bloom.